Welcome back, brothers and sisters. Tim, Braden, Second Legacy, you are amazing, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is the place where we have some fun every single day, 2A related and 2A parallel towards this goal of freedom that we have. So make sure you guys are enjoying the channel. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, because we are on a quest to 100,000 very quickly, and we'd love your help in that mission. But we're going to talk about something. More gun things popped up in this whole exploding Tesla fireworks situation. A lot of things are very questionable, and honestly, I covered this on my channel. The ATF may have just slipped up and shown us how this whole finding of guns so fast works. Not a database, it's just a database. But anyway, we're going to get into it. Tim, we've got everything in this one. We've got fireworks, we've got exploding Teslas, we've got ATF making a boo-boo in a statement, we've got the actual gun choices, which are very suspect. This is going to be a thing.
No, there's so much suspect. And again, I hate being that conspiracy theorist, right? But there's just so much stuff that keeps coming up, especially around the guy at Trump Tower. There's just so much stuff that doesn't make sense, man.
Exactly. There's too many weird red flags. Like, we're about to get into a few of the things that they come out with. Like, we're going to walk you through the gun models. We're going to walk you through what they expect and the things that survived miraculously. Okay, enough of the tease. Let's get to the gun part here, what he's about to say. So this is the sheriff in a press conference yesterday, guys, along with the ATF afterwards. So bear with us. Dr. Slides, hit that first part for us.
And so as we continue to move through this, I'm going to talk a little bit about his identity and what we believe. But I would like to highlight a couple of things that the teams found inside of the Cybertruck that are useful to the investigation. And that, first and foremost, is a military identification. We also found a passport. We found a Desert Eagle 50 caliber semi-automatic pistol. And if you'll notice on a lot of these guns that we're going to talk about here, they're almost just burnt beyond recognition as well. There's a SLR model B30 semi-automatic firearm, number of fireworks that were still in the vehicle that had to be removed. Notably, we found an iPhone and a smartwatch, and then several credit cards were also in the name of our subject.
Now, Tim, does that seem an odd choice of two firearms to have in a rented vehicle? And when you have full of gasoline, propane, fireworks, and it just seems odd to me. Did you see the imagery? Did it come through?
Yeah. I saw some of the pictures. Yeah. So the rifle, pistol, whatever it is, that was a kit gun. People on X are already talking about clone building this guy's gun and posting links to the website. And then a Desert Eagle and 50.
Really?
I mean, yeah, right. The clone builders, man, they're a wild bunch. A Desert Eagle 50. So you literally have a meme gun.
Yep.
Being used by a Green Beret Special Forces operator whose job it is, in many instances, to train other militaries how to fight effectively. This includes how to make improvised explosive devices, commonly referred to as an IED, what weapons you should use and how to use them. So what in the world is he doing with a bunch of fireworks and a meme gun?
These are the questions, Tim. These are the questions. And of course, I can't put it in here because we're on YouTube and it'll get angry at me. But there's also reports that there was a gunshot wound in the guy in the front of the car before the fireworks went off. And a handgun was on the floor of the car. Well, I mean, there was the pistol, which is an AR pistol, and then there was a 50 caliber Desert Eagle. So that'll do the trick. So
Mr. Guns and Gear had an interesting observation. He's been following this, therefore I've been following him, and he brought up the fact, which is so true. The 50 Desert Eagle, under normal circumstances, is a flash cannon. Like, it makes a huge fireball. The version he had had a ported muzzle. So it's like the flash cannon of the flash cannons. Yes. And then you watch the video. There's like a very long video out there that he was referring to. There's not a flash. There's no flash coming from the inside of the car. And also, the volume in the truck is probably such that it wouldn't cause problems. But when you discharge a firearm like that inside of a confined space, it's pretty obvious, right?
Yes.
I don't think it'd be enough overpressure to blow the windows out of the Cybertruck, but it would show on video. Even grainy security cam, right? And so
you're going to know.
None of this adds up, man. It is such a weird. Yeah.
And the other elephant in the room, and this is so interesting to me, the body was burnt beyond recognition. The car was torched from the frame inward. So everything on the inside of the frame of the Tesla truck, gone. Everything on the outside, perfectly fine. Except the paper documents that were inside the vehicle with the I mean, I know that there are extenuating circumstances where things can be on top of something and the fire doesn't. I mean, there's always things, but it does seem a little suspect with all the things that were floating around that the paper survived that.
Right. So the guns are burned jokingly almost past recognition. The body's burnt past recognition, right. But somehow his military ID and passport
made it through.
And you know, when I'm about to go out and commit crimes, first thing I do, mental note, passport, make sure you grab all your state issued ID. Yeah. You got to have that on you just in case.
Just
grab
in case
a Desert
they need
Eagle
identification.
machine gun. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is just.
It just doesn't make sense. That's it. We can't say we know, but it doesn't make sense. There's too many things here that are like, what in the actual F is going on?
So, question, and Dr. Slides brought this up. Do Cybertrucks drive themselves, and can they drive themselves when there's nobody in it? I don't know.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
they can.
And when a body is burnt past recognition, does that mean all DNA evidence is too? I don't think so.
Well, no. It's very.
You can extract it from a root of a tooth. Yeah.
Yeah, you totally can. From like 3,000 years ago in the deserts of Egypt, but Tesla.
Yeah. Somehow
that was a real hot fire.
Just wait until the pressure gets amped up against the government and they lose the Cybertruck, kind of like they lost the front door to Waco and little things like that. They have a tendency.
Sometimes we just lose them.
When the questions get a little too intense and maybe they're going to get to pointing fingers, you just kind of lose stuff, like trucks.
But don't worry, the ATF's coming up in this. We haven't even gotten to the point where we're like, excuse me, what now? we're still in the
what in the world's going on phase.
What's happening? Okay, don't worry, we're getting to the what now. So as we go forward, Dr. Slides, could you go to the next timestamp? This is 7:58. Don't open the brain there.
Now, I would like to acknowledge a couple of things because I know what's going on in the social media world, and there are a number of things in this case that are similar to the attack in New Orleans. We do know that our subject here served in the military. In fact, he's a current member of the military. Both of the subjects served at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. What we do know about that is it's a very large military base, and we have no record that they served in the same unit or even at the same years at Fort Bragg, something that continues to remain under investigation. I also know that they both served in Afghanistan in 2009. We don't have any evidence that they were in the same province in Afghanistan, the same location, or the same unit. Again, something else that remains under investigation. And we also know, of course, that they both used the rental company Turo to rent their vehicles.
All right, the rental vehicle thing, I don't know why we keep saying that. That is a pointless thing. It does not matter. That is
but come on, dude. I didn't even until this happened, I wasn't even aware of Turo.
Oh no, see, I actually was aware of it because I thought it was an interesting concept.
Right.
I mean, I know you can your vehicle out.
So I've seen that for like RVs. Like I've looked into that, right, to take the family on a vacation stuff. I wasn't aware of it. I'm not saying it surprises me. I mean, I mean, peer-to-peer stuff is all the rage, with Uber or that, Airbnb. I get that. But it does seem a bit odd that they would both use Turo to rent vehicles to go to these types of crimes, and they both rented EVs. One a Ford Lightning, the other a Cybertruck.
Now that is interesting too, yeah.
And here's the other thing. They're saying, well, they both were at Fort Bragg. Granted, it's a huge military base. And if you were airborne, there's a good chance you're going to go through Fort Bragg at some point if you spend, a number of years in the Army, especially if you're an airborne or anything like that. We're talking about two guys that were there. So I would say the Fort Bragg connection might not be that big of a deal unless they can prove that they were there at the same time, same unit, or otherwise had communication. That should be a very simple thing to do. That should be a phone call. That is
very simple.
Right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with Afghanistan. If they were both there in 2009, finding out if they're in the same province, same unit, or if their units had interactions together would be a very simple phone call to make.
So here's the interesting thing about this, and this to me is where you have to have a little bit of an outside look on something. This guy and these investigations, they're all looking for the direct correlations and overlaps of these individuals being basically in the same area where they have an overlap of experience. It doesn't have to be that way in 2024 anymore, or 2025 rather. You can have a shared experience in the military, a shared experience in Afghanistan, and then be radicalized afterwards. I mean, it is possible through the access of the internet. It's
possible. Anything is possible, right?
Anything's possible is my point. Yeah.
A wormhole could open behind me and suck me into another dimension. It's possible.
Okay, that'd be cool.
It would be cool, and I'd be all for jumping in that thing. But
that'd be neat.
Here's the thing that I have a problem with. They were both in the military. They both went through Fort Bragg. They were both in Afghanistan in 2009. Granted, I mean, just wild coincidence, perhaps. Then they both used Toro. Then they both wind up with EVs, and they both wind up committing acts of terrorism on the same day.
On the same day. Right?
How many coincidences are we going to say, okay, maybe they knew each other? I mean,
or maybe there was some sort of unifying factor, whether it's an external person, a different radicalizer, a different leader, like all these different pieces. Yes, exactly what you just said.
Yeah, to me, that a coincidence is like, yeah, they were both in the Army about the same time. Well, yeah, millions of people do that. Well, they were both in Fort Bragg. Okay, tens of thousands would do that. They were both in Afghanistan at the same time. Okay, we're narrowing this down. They both used Toro and rented EVs, and they committed an act of terror on the same day, and they both converted to radical Islam, potentially. I don't know the story on the Green Beret guy. Too many coincidences, dude. I'm sorry.
I agree.
At some point, you got to say, okay, none of this adds up. There is a connection here somewhere. We got to find that connection.
Correct. And we've actually got to tell people about it because we've got a serious problem with an open border over the last 4 years. Yeah, dude. To me, it seems like, remember that old movie? What was the movie? I think it was called Siege with Bruce Willis in New York. Did you ever see that one?
I don't know, probably.
The one where they had incremental attacks, like one cell did something and then that triggered the next cell to go do something, and then that cell triggered that cell. And then they basically took the army to lock down the entire city. Anyway, the whole point was it was a domino effect, right? One led to another, and they were completely unconnected. That was the entire thing. But I don't know. Just like you said, where we're at right now, there are too many weird coincidences. And again, a 50 caliber with an AR pistol in a truck that was rigged to blow up. I don't know.
308 pistol, if I'm not mistaken.
An SLR 30.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's actually a 308. Let me check.
But yeah, none of this adds up for me. I mean, I get a couple of coincidences that are really distant, but there's too many of these that are coming too close together. I'm not saying there's a connection, folks. What I'm saying is there's plenty of reason here to investigate this as a collaborative effort between the two. But right now they're out there saying, "Oh, we have no evidence that there's any connection between the two." Really? No evidence.
It is.
None?
You are 100% correct. It is a 308 pistol because that's what everyone does.
Yeah, it makes no sense, dude. The guy's like, why not a 50 BMG? Why didn't he get like a Barrett 107 shorty or something? I mean, the guy would. None of this makes any sense. Like, these are not practical firearms in any sense of the word. These are novelty items.
Yeah, no. Yes, correct. You have a 50 caliber ported Desert Eagle,
and an 8-inch barrel 308. Yeah,
right. That's like firing a hand cannon. Like to Tim's point, you have a huge muzzle flash. You have a huge amount of recoil. I mean, very loud report. And then you got a 308 short barreled rifle, 308 pistol, which is equally as loud and inapplicable. None of it makes sense. None of this makes sense at all. But now let's go to the ATF guy, because this is the part your experience can throw a little bit behind this as well. Let's listen to Mr. ATF from San Diego.
So as the sheriff mentioned, we've identified 2 semi-automatic handguns recovered from the Tesla. We have successfully traced those firearms, and I can tell you that Matthew Livesberg lawfully purchased both of these firearms on December 30th, 2024. We have agents following up those investigative leads. We know exactly where those firearms were purchased, and we will share any developments from those leads as they come in. Thank you.
Now, wait a minute, Tim. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm pretty sure that Steve Dettelbach, the director of the ATF, when talking to Congress, because we covered these clips, said that they only have 4473s, the form in which you buy a gun. They only have them after shops close because they ship them to them. So the only way that they can know purchase records is if the shop has closed. Well, if those guns were purchased 2 days before this attack, or this bomb, or whatever you want to call it, and that means the gun shop is still open, Tim, how would they know exactly where those guns were purchased within 12 hours of this incident occurring?
All right, so what they would do is they have the serial numbers of the firearms, the make, model, and serial number. So that takes them straight to the manufacturer. That's a simple phone call. Manufacturer goes, okay, looks at their records. They go, I don't know if he bought these, like the kit. I think he bought it online when it had to transfer at least a lower receiver to an FFL, go into the FFL and pick it up. So the manufacturer goes, yep, we transferred this to this FFL on this date. ATF picks up the phone. Or
distributor or whatever.
Right. Or distributor, whomever. And then they call that person. All right, here's a serial number. Here's the gun. And then the dealer, they have the option of saying no, but the ATF's going to come in anyway and have you hand them and they may lose their license.
100%.
So the dealer is probably going to give that information pretty quickly to the ATF, especially if they know what the investigation's for, right? So they're going to be probably as helpful as possible. So anyway, very quickly within a day, they can get all this information to find out who the buyer of the gun is. They don't need to use a database to do it because they have the gun and the serial number, which takes them to the manufacturer. The manufacturer will send them to the dealer that it was transferred to. The dealer will then give them the information for who the person was that they transferred that firearm to. Also, they're two handguns. If he purchased them both from the same dealer in the same week, ATF was automatically notified. So
it would flag them.
Right. So that's most likely how they pulled this off. Where it would be suspect would be if they didn't have the serial number, the make and model of the firearm. And then somehow, just from his name, they could figure out what guns he purchased. That would be indication of a database search in the PDF system that they pay extra so they can't search, according to Diddlebum.
Right.
But so this doesn't raise really too many flags with me in terms of how they accomplished this, because I know the system and how this all works. So, yeah.
No. So you are 100% correct. That's not the main issue.
Yeah.
You are absolutely correct because, again, it is congressional law that they cannot have a database or a registry of all the guns and serial numbers of individuals. Right. They cannot, and Steve Vittelbach has said it, and they keep on throwing all their weight behind. We do not have a database of individuals with serial numbers.
Well, they have a database. It's just not searchable because they pay extra to disable the search
That's what
feature.
makes it a database. So now it's just a collection of files. So if the entire thing, and this is why it's so important that we pay attention to this stuff, if the entire thing in system, they can find any individual gun that was manufactured and sold to a distributor, then sold to a shop, and they can do it that quickly, why do they need universal background checks, Tim? Because I thought the ATF was an overburdened agency that was just so aggrieved by all the work and their little ATFLs with staples and paper. The big question comes then, why do you need these things that you keep on saying you need, like universal background checks, national registries? If you can find the gun within 12 hours of an incident like this, I don't understand the need. Why would there be a need if you've already got the opportunity to do it?
Beyond that, once again, the background check system was sold to the American people as this will reduce crime.
It will stop crime.
Really? Well, how's that working out for you?
It's weird.
These guns, the ATF guy will tell you, these guns were purchased legally. That means you went to a background check system.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, the background check system, if a criminal knows they have a criminal record, yes, there's stupid criminals that walk into gun stores every day and try to do a 4473 form and they get pinched because they're a felon. But a felon that knows they're a felon that's trying to fly under the radar is not going to walk into a gun store and submit themselves to a background check. They're just going to go buy one off the street. Correct. Right? And where do they get the guns off the street? Well, theft,
stolen
all sorts
guns.
of ways. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, and so the background check system, we've argued this for so long. All this does is harass gun owners, law-abiding gun owners. Very rarely does it stop any type of crime. It's just meant to catalog you, secretly know what you're buying. Because I do believe that they can search their databases and I don't.
Command F. All you have to do is Command F. Just boop, boop.
Can they export the PDF that's non-searchable in their database they pay extra for? Because if you can export
like
it, I can take it to my computer, which I can search PDFs.
Right.
And so I just Yeah, the background check system is completely ineffective. It doesn't do anything except harass you, and it's meant to have a chilling effect to keep you from exercising your rights. It has nothing to do with solving crime. Clearly, they had no problem figuring out where these guns came from, and it had nothing to do with a background check.
That's the point. That is exactly the point. They already knew everything that they always pitch us, that we need universal background checks and universal registries and all this crap.
The Safe First Community Act saved us.
Yes. It saved us. I felt safer. If they already know how to do everything that they're asking for, why would they be asking for it? That's the entire point. If they can do this quickly and the gun was purchased legally and they know 100% that's where it was, in under 12 hours after it being charred to a freaking biscuit, then why do you need a universal background check system? Because it would almost be like you're trying to do something else.
Yeah. That's
the whole point.
What could that be?
I don't know, Tim. We'll figure it out eventually, though. Right now, I'm still trying to figure out why this guy used a 50 caliber Desert Eagle to delete himself, and then the fireworks went off in a Tesla that could or could not drive automatically.
Yeah,
weird,
crazy stuff. Is that it?
Anyway, that's enough conspiracy for me this morning.
Well, I hope they finish investigating this, because again, I think there's way too many coincidences here just to be coincidence. I could maybe swallow one, maybe two coincidences, but we have a litany of them. And for them to come right out and say early on, and once again, here's another element to all this. It reminds me of of Oklahoma City, right? Remember, immediately after that happened, the FBI put out, we're looking for 2 John Does. They had drawings of them. They had descriptions of them. They had witnesses of them. And then a few days later, nope, it was just McVeigh. He acted alone.
So just so you know, not to jab you, I was very young when that happened, so I don't have all the details memory on that one.
Google it; it'll blow your mind. You can still
okay. I'll Google it. I'll Google
FBI drawings. So, but again, here they are out there saying he may have had accomplices. No, he didn't. No, he did. Nope, he didn't. We're getting so many conflicting messages, and once again, they're out there looking for John Doe number 1, John Doe number 2 that may have helped one or both of them. And I don't know. There's just too much muddiness to it. And we still haven't gotten any more information about the previous event that took place in Las Vegas years ago during the first Trump administration.
You mean the one with the invisible helicopter?
Yeah. And the machine guns that weren't machine guns. Yeah. So, So it just seems like the public is getting tired of this. I know that we're tired of this. Either they're grossly incompetent or they're lying to us. I don't know which, but neither is a good option. We'll keep following this story. Thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon.